How's it going, everybody? Been a few weeks since my last video, and got a little tobacco review tonight. Um, a lot been going on in my world. Just a little short, little update. Been doing a lot of work on this side of the garage the last couple weeks because I ordered a new safe. So I had a bunch of stuff I had to kind of get cleared out, moved cabinets around, figured out because the safe that I got is like almost twice as big as the safe that I had. So I had a lot of stuff I had to get done, but it came in today. It got delivered today, so it's here. It's in old safe. The old safe's gonna go to my dad's place, and then he's got a safe that he's gonna give to a buddy of mine. Originally, I was gonna give my old safe to my buddy, and my dad said he wanted it, and he would give him one of his other ones. So we're doing like a weird three-way swap. So that, along with the new job, and so I've been busy. Haven't been smoking a pipe a whole lot, um, but still smoking a pipe once or twice a day at least. But for a while there, when I was working from home, pretty much exclusively, I'd smoke 3, 4, 5 bowls a day. There's the possibility I'll still be able to work from home a couple days a week, just not right now. I'd like to get kind of settled and get my feet on the ground first before I start doing that stuff. So it's been offered, and I just told him, I said, nah. I said maybe in a couple months or something we'll do that. But anyway, today I'm smoking. This is a little Winslow billiard. If you guys don't have a Winslow, I recommend checking them out because they're actually really great little pipes. The shape is pretty good, is pretty spot on. The rustication kind of that comes up here in the bowl isn't my favorite. I'm assuming that they did that because there was maybe a tiny little sand pit or something going on there, or they just wanted to do that. But I don't know. Who knows? It's not my favorite, but generally, in my opinion, it's a well executed billiard shape. It's got a nice little comfortable stem. It's light. It feels good. Smokes really well. I think that Winslow's get overlooked for the likes of Peterson and Savinelli and whatever. So anyway, and the tobacco I'm smoking is Exhausted Rooster. Whether or not you like the tobacco, I honestly think everyone should buy a tin, simply for the fact of that's probably some of the best tin art that you can get on a tin of tobacco. It's really funny. I don't usually hang on to tins of tobacco, and I still probably won't. But what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to take this label off, cut out that little bit of tin art, and I'm probably going to put that somewhere in here because I like it so much. It's really funny. Before I light up again, I'll give an idea on the tin note. Now, I did take some notes on tin note when I first cracked the tin, and the reason why I took notes is because I thought it was going to change based on what I smelled when I first cracked the tin open. I thought it was going to change, so I was like, I want to take these notes now so I don't forget, because I think that once that tin's open for a week or 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it is, I think that tin note's going to change. It's going to go away, and I think it's going to change the smoke. And I believe that in both cases it's true. So when I first popped the tin, the notes the first thing that hit me was very boozy, just a general like boozy quality. Like if you stuck your nose over a glass of brandy or something like that, just very boozy. And then as I kept smelling and kept kind of taking in those aromas, there was a pretty distinct, like sweet jerky smell. Like if you were to take jerky and marinate it in like a red wine, like a sweet red wine, and then smoke it, like make jerky out of it. That's kind of the smell. It's like a sweet wine smoked jerky. Um, the booziness kind of put me off, but then when I started kind of like getting a little bit deeper, some of the other aromas were kind of like bringing me back a little bit. And then finally, it was just like if you characterize it in like three words, it was dark, rich, and sweet. I said brandy earlier, or like a dark rum. If you put your nose over a glass of dark rum, um, there was aromas that were reminiscent of that for me. And now, the tin note, it's much more grassy. Not like not like extremely grassy, but I think that booziness is kind of worn off. Um, I don't ever think I ever looked to see if there was a topping, but if there was a like some sort of a booze topping, I would not be surprised. Obviously, it could be the dark fired putting off that booziness. It's much more grassy hay like, but there's still like that sweet jerky smell, and there's also that dark. It's still like dark and rich and sweet, just like less. Um, it's just less boozy. So the tin note now, I definitely agree with more than the tin note when I first opened it. And as a week, 2 week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks went on, this tin's actually been open for quite a while. It was usually don't talk about like how damp or wet tobacco is. This stuff was pretty moist, so I knew that I could kind of it wouldn't hurt it if I left the tin open. And I live in California. It's pretty temperate. It's not super humid. It's not real dry. It's kind of in the middle. So tobaccos generally last pretty well in the tin in terms of their moisture level. It's made up of Virginia, dark fired, and just a tiny bit of perique. And like I said, I didn't actually see if there was any sort of a topping, but smoking characteristics is very similar to other Virginia Kentucky blends. I mean, that's what's really. I mean, for me, what's really at the forefront is the dark Kentucky. It's slightly sweet, barbecuey. Like like a smoked jerky or like a sweet barbecue. I can definitely. I can definitely feel and taste the Virginia's sort of helping that sweetness along, whatever little bit of sweetness there is in the dark fired. You can definitely tell like the Virginias are kind of playing into that, and they're kind of rolling that sweetness along. The perique for me, I think the perique is in such a small quantity. It even says just a tiny bit of perique on the tin. I think it's in such a small quantity that I don't really notice it above the Kentucky. The Kentucky for me, like I said, is the thing that I notice the most. And I do get a little bit of a nose tingle, and I get some of the perique esque sort of sensations when I smoke a Virginia perique. But it's hard because a lot of times dark fire can give you those same sensations. So it's difficult for me to say whether or not it's the dark fire that's giving me those sensations, or if it's the perique, or they're playing together in some way, and you can't really pick them out. To me, it's a very satisfying blend. I think I said in a past video that I had smoked it like 10 years ago. Wasn't the biggest fan of it. Um, but now I generally like those components. I don't like a lot of dark fired. If a blend has a lot of dark fired, it kind of puts me off. But dark fired used in sort of smaller amounts, I do like. Um, my favorite genre, my favorite type of tobacco blend is probably just gonna be your standard Virginia perique. But I do like some stuff kind of mixed in there, and I don't know what the percentage is on this dark on for the dark fired on this. I'd be actually very interested to know. Um, because at first I was thinking that the dark fired was kind of on the upper end of what I like of dark fired in a blend. Um, but then there's times where I smoke it and I go, maybe it's like, sort of halfway. Maybe I could use a little bit more dark fired. But I think in general, I think it's like, no, I don't really think I need any more dark fired in this blend. I think the amount is right. And I'd be curious to know how much dark fire is actually in it. Um, so if anybody knows that, um, or knows a range, whether it's 10 to 15% or it's 15 to 20% or whatever, you might not. I'm assuming people probably don't know the exact. Oh well, there's obviously people out there that know the exact amount, but I'm guessing that Jeremy Reeves and other Cornell and Deal people aren't watching my videos. If they are, it probably make me a little bit worried. But if anyone has any idea what percentage of dark fire is in this, I'd be interested to know. It does say a dash of perique, I think. A dash of perique. I don't know what a dash is. Is a dash 2%, 5%? I can't imagine a dash is more than 5%, right? So what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at 5% perique, 25 to 30% Kentucky, so 65 to 70% Virginia. I don't know. It could be a lot more Kentucky than that. I mean, when I look at it, I'm looking at Kentucky being like sort of a mahogany. And I don't know what kind of Virginias are in here. They may be red Virginias in here. I may be looking at some of this Kentucky, or some of this stuff, and I'm thinking it's Kentucky, and really it's a red Virginia. Um, there's, I can. There's little bits of black here and there, which I'm gonna, kind of assume are perique. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a tobacco blender, and I'm not a professional tobacconist, and I don't know how good I am at actually picking out specific, tobaccos. But I think if someone said it's 25% Kentucky, 5% perique, and 30% Virginia, or somewhere in that ballpark, I don't think I'd be surprised. I think I'd be surprised if it was like 50% Kentucky, but you never know. What was it? There was another thing I was going to talk about. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? I can't remember. There was something else that came up right before I started recording that I thought about, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to bring that up." What was that? Oh, that's what it was. Yesterday morning. This is probably going to be a long video. I'm just rambling now. Before we get on the ramble, I'll give my final thought on Exhausted Rooster. My vote for best tin art that I've seen so far, although I'm a big duck hunter and the mallard I like that tin art too, and there's other good ones, but I'm going to say Exhausted Rooster, best tin art I've seen so far. Um, and I must say, I like it. You know, I don't love it. I don't think. I like it. This is gonna be one of those tobaccos for me that I'm gonna probably have between 2 and 5 tins in the cellar, and that's probably all I'm gonna have. It's not gonna be one that I stock up 20, 30 tins on. I already have a few blends that I try to do that with. But I think, yeah, 2 to 5 in the cellar. And just to give a little other context, this tin when I opened it was a year old, and I think it smokes really well for a year old. I'd be really interested to see what it's like at like the 5 year mark and maybe 5, 8 year mark, and then maybe a 10 year mark. I think I have one or two other tins in there. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one of those will get lost for a while. I think that maybe that'll help some of the mellow out some of the booziness right off the bat. Um, but yeah, I think I like it. I do. It's not something I would take with me. I wouldn't pick it over quite a few other blends for like your desert island smoke. But I mean, as long as I'm not living on a desert island, I'll keep some around. So it's pretty good stuff. Like I said, I know that I like those components. It's more or less is the dark fired used, in a smaller roll or more of a major roll. I've smoked the blends that use it, in more of a major roll. And generally, I'm not a big fan. That's why I'd be surprised if this was, more than like. I'd be surprised if it was 50%. I'd be surprised if it was more than 40%. Maybe I don't know. Maybe someone out there will know and they'll give me the answer. The other thing I was going to talk about was hard to find tobacco blends. So a couple of my favorite tobacco blends that I try to keep, couple 2, 3, 4 dozen tins of on hand are not easy to find. They don't come up very often, and I mean, we're not even talking about esoterica. Like esoterica, I pretty much write them off. Like it's just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they've dropped any tobacco that I know of in at least a year, if not 2 years. I don't know if they're ever going to drop any more tobacco. I don't know. They have a couple, 2 or 3 of their blends. I would 100% buy multiple dozens of if they were available. And I don't know. I just pretty much have written them off. We'll see. Um, but one of those blends is by Rainer, and I'm not gonna say. Well, I'm not gonna say it, um, but mostly because probably all of you already know which one I'm talking about anyway. It's the gold one. I happened to be on Smoking Pipes yesterday morning. I don't even remember what for. I think I was just kind of like, I randomly get on there just to check to see if like Esoterica was making an appearance. Even though I know I just said I wrote them off. I'm never going like, oh, they probably have some. No. And a couple other things. So I was basically striking out, and I go, I better check Rainer while I'm here. So I check Rainer, and sure enough, in stock. Boys, I tell you what, I couldn't hit the add to cart fast enough. I didn't know, how much was gonna be there. I had no idea. They only let you buy 2 tins, at a time. So I bought the 2 tins, and then there was another blend that I kind of been wanting to try that hasn't been in stock for a while, and it was in stock too. It was not a Rainer blend. I don't remember now because which one it was. But so I bought some of that. I got up to my $100 or whatever for free shipping and checkout, and that was it. So later that evening, I'm thinking, well, I'll buy 2 more tins tomorrow, and then I'll be done. I'll have at that point 6 or 8 tins laying around, and then I'll be done for a while. And then when they come up again in the future, if I see them come up again in the future, I'll buy a couple more. That's kind of how I do it. You guys probably do the same thing. So I jump back on Smoking Pipes to see if there's even any available. Like maybe if I need to, be sure I check, the next morning, because it's like, 2 per day. I don't know if it's 24 hours or if it goes midnight to midnight or what it is. But I hop back on there and they're already sold out, the smoking pipes. And I was like, okay. So then I started thinking, well, I better check all these other sites to see if any of these other sites got them. And I did actually happen to find one site, I think, and I didn't look at any of the European sites. Sometimes you get lucky on the European sites. One site that's U.S. based that also has some tins. So I bought a couple more. I don't remember how many. I think 2 more. And then they had some other tobaccos, and same thing. Get up to your $100 for free shipping, and that was it. So, if you like Rainer, the gold one, it's about that big, the tin. Um, I suggest doing a little Google search and trying to find if any of these sites are, have any. Like I said, sometimes you have better luck with the European sites, but you gotta navigate their stuff, and then there's always a chance that you won't get your package because customs seized it, or who knows, whatever. I think it's a slim chance, but you never know. So, Rainer, gold tin about that big. Check it out. See, a lot of people, that's like their favorite blend, for good reason. I don't think it's overrated at all. So yeah, little tip, little pro pipe smoker tip. It's funny, when I first started pipe smoking, was 17 years ago, and you didn't have any of this trouble whatsoever. I mean, I think smoking pipes was pretty young at that point. There was a lot, there wasn't a whole lot of online vendors out there. I got lucky and found a couple. Like, I think smoking pipes and cigars, I think, was around then. Maybe Cup of Joe's, but they were small. Generally they didn't have a lot. I think when I first started buying stuff from smoking pipes, I think they had like, I want to say like maybe 20, tops 30 brands of tobacco, and now there's, I don't even know how many, 100. I don't even know. But the Esoterica was there, and it was silly. Looking back on it now, it was silly. You could get on smoking pipes and any day of the week and buy however many tins of Esoterica you wanted. It was crazy. If I would have known, if I would have known then what I know now, I would have bought every single Esoterica tin that I could have possibly afforded, and I would have just stuck them away somewhere. Because now I think I looked the other day just for funsies, and it was like you couldn't find a 2 ounce or 50 gram tin or whatever of Esoterica for like under $200. I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but man, silly. Like I said, looking back to 15 years ago, 16 years ago, none of these issues whatsoever. You could find anything you wanted whenever you wanted, and it was like $10 a tin, if I remember right. It was like 10, $12 a tin max. It was good old days. Anyway, I'm gonna stop blabbing. I'm blabbing, I think, because I hadn't made a video in a while and had a lot of things that were kind of on my mind want to talk about. So there you go. Hopefully, you stayed through the whole video. If you did, great. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Other than that, I don't really think I have anything else. Las Vegas Pipe Show for me is up in the air. I know before I was saying I was planning to go. There's still a chance I'm going to go. This safe kind of might have derailed my plans to go a little bit. I had been looking at safes for a long time, but I kind of on a whim, spent $3,200 on a safe. So that might have put my Vegas trip out the window. But hopefully it's going to be every year now, and those kinds of things. So, which I'm really kind of bummed, because I reached out to a couple pipe makers that I've been watching for a long time, and for the most part they're going to be there. So it was going to be really nice to be able to go, but I don't know, we'll see. Right now I'm 50-50 on Vegas. But anyway, other than that, Hope you guys are all having a good week, good evening. Hope you're all staying safe, being happy, smoking your pipe. Take care of your families. Take care of each other. Adios.